I strongly disagree with the affirmative side's arguments. While it is true that the United Nations Human Rights Council's resolution is not a source of international law, it is still an important and valid expression of concern from the international community. The resolution itself may not be legally binding, but it carries significant moral and political weight, and the Philippines should take it into consideration. Furthermore, the principle of subsidiarity does not absolve the Philippines of its obligations to respect and protect human rights. The domestic remedies mentioned by the affirmative side may be in place, but they have not been effective in addressing the widespread human rights abuses and extrajudicial killings that have occurred as part of the war on drugs. The international community has a legitimate interest in ensuring that the Philippines is upholding its human rights obligations, and a comprehensive review of the drug war is necessary to assess the situation and make recommendations for improvement. Before I conclude, may I first pose 4 questions for the affirmative side. First, Lawrence, you argue that the UN Human Rights Council's resolution is not a legally binding state obligation because it does not arise from any of the sources of international law as outlined in Article 38, Paragraph 1 of the ICJ statute. However, can you provide concrete evidence that the resolution does not fall under any of these sources of international law? Second, you also argue that the UNHRC resolution is a mere political expression and does not have any binding effect. Can you explain how this affects the Philippines' obligation to adhere to international human rights standards, and how this aligns with the principle of subsidiarity that you mentioned in your argument? Third, you mentioned that domestic remedies in the Philippines are working, citing the Supreme Court's mandate for the Solicitor General to furnish reports of alleged killings during police operations, and the PNP Human Rights Affairs Office's monitoring of compliance with human rights standards. However, can you provide more detailed information on the effectiveness of these domestic remedies, including statistics on the number of cases investigated and prosecuted and the outcomes of these cases? And finally, Lawrence, do you believe that the UN Human Rights Council's resolution is merely a political expression, or do you believe that it carries some legal weight and obligation for the Philippines to adhere to it? Can you provide a clear and consistent stance on this issue? In conclusion, while the UN Human Rights Council's resolution may not be legally binding, it is still a valid and important expression of concern from the international community. The Philippines should take this resolution seriously and consider engaging in a comprehensive review of the drug war in order to address the human rights abuses that have occurred. Thank you.